Major Mac hero, Trial by Combat, MMA Islander, and Fight House. Today I'm with Jake Stats, who's fighting for Cage Signs on July 20th. Jake, how are you feeling?
Excellent. How are you, sir?
Good. So tell me about your background. How did you get into martial arts? What age?
I started when I was 5 with karate. I wanted to be a Ninja Turtle, so got involved with karate. I started teaching karate when I was like 8, helping out with the different classes and stuff. I got hired at 14, worked there all the way till I was like 21, and then I decided to leave the karate. And around, I was introduced to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at kind of like a younger age, or grappling at a younger age, but didn't do like pure Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu until I was like 18 or 19. And then after COVID, went back to it a little bit more and decided that I wanted to do that kind of as my primary focus when I was 21, and went into it then.
So a lot of guys shit on traditional backgrounds, saying that like karate doesn't work, kung fu, taekwondo doesn't work. What's your opinion on that?
I think it's different for everybody. I think that not every traditional martial artist can apply it to a combat sport scenario. I think that it's going to kind of be situational as well. So you got to kind of know which traditional techniques are applicable to what you're doing and which ones aren't. So like I would learn a technique on Tuesday, and then I would come in here for Friday night sparring and try to hit that technique. Sometimes it would work, sometimes I'd get my ass kicked, and then I knew not to try that technique again. But like I said, it's all situational. Sometimes you know they have to throw a certain strike, and then you can try whatever it is. So there's a lot of, I mean, traditional martial arts also teaches you, I think, how to learn martial arts better than any combat sports martial art teaches you how to learn it. Because you start with kind of basic material and basic footwork, and you work your way up progressively through material and ranks, which for like Muay Thai, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, MMA, you're kind of shown a technique and expected to drill it. But there's a lot of different elements to that, which is something that I think about when I'm teaching the kids classes here or running the kids program, right? So if you're teaching single leg defenses, you first need to know how to do a single leg. You need to know how to fall before you do that. You need to have a good idea of balance and stance before that. So there's a lot that goes into teaching and learning a combat sport compared to a traditional art, but the traditional art better sets you up to learn the combat sports, in my opinion.
What was your biggest like culture shock or like oh shit moment coming from a traditional background into a mixed martial arts BJJ Muay Thai gym?
I remember my first day here. It was during a morning class. I showed up, and it was a majority of the like the kids class instructors were here, and then Josh was running the class. Josh now owns Defensive Edge, and he was teaching the class, and I got partnered up with somebody, and I just remember them going from knee on belly and spinning around me super fast, and being like, what the hell? But in that moment, I was like, this is friggin' awesome. Like, I need to figure out how to do that. And that kind of culture shock fascinated me and got me like almost heavily obsessed with figuring out how to do that sport and kind of adapt what I learned in karate to MMA, Muay Thai, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
What really made you like leave karate and then come to like MMA, BJJ, Muay Thai?
There's a lot to it, but with the biggest thing that we'll go with is the competitive nature of it. I feel like in karate, especially in a traditional art, you learn a lot of material, and there's set techniques that you need for each rank. And then sometimes you get through a rank and you learn all the material for it, but you don't go to that next rank or something, or maybe it's not ready for that next material or something. But either way, it's repetitive. I think the repetition is great, but at a certain point, you need to be actively applying those, I feel like, and karate doesn't really do that. You can, have somebody punch in for you where they take a left foot forward, right foot back, and they step their right foot in and send their right hand, and they're going to hold that hand out for you all day, but they're not going to hit you with it on the way in, and you can then do your technique, and if they don't fall, you're like, oh, go with it. No. I think that you've got to figure out how to get in those situations, because nobody's going to hold that hand out. And that's just one specific thing for karate, which that can be applied in many ways, but by physically doing those sparring rounds or live drilling and stuff like that, you find how to make those techniques work, how to make other techniques work. So that's part of it, but that's all we'll get into.
So you went from being a third-degree black belt in karate to being a white belt in BJJ. So what's that like shift, being like the top dog to like the person that everyone's just choking out?
I found it extremely motivating. I was, teaching a ton, and I was training all the time, and I loved it. But then I came in here, and I was like, looked around, and I got my ass kicked, and I was like, this is freaking cool. Like, I was obsessed with it. Like, I could tell some of the things they were doing. I was like, oh, that's sick. That's how that's supposed to go. And other things were happening. I was like, I want to do that. Or I was like, how the hell did they do that? And I think that kind of fascinated me. And I think it's definitely a humbling thing. I think kind of no matter if you do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Muay Thai, whatever it is, as you go, you always find that there's always more to learn. And by going from third-degree black belt back to white belt, I was like, wow, look at this. I got something all new I could learn. And it kind of revamped my, my passion for martial arts.
So you have very big roles at both your karate dojo and here teaching and managing. Being so enveloped in martial arts, how do you think that helps you as a martial artist?
I think it surrounds you with the martial arts. So whether you are, I think there's two different ways to look at that. It's when you are teaching and when you are kind of making sure the classes are happening, right? So both have different roles. So when you're teaching, you're finding the best ways to break down different techniques. So whether this is something that you're kind of figuring out how to teach, or maybe it's your first time teaching something, or whatever it is, you have to break down each individual element of that. And it's funny because I go to school for education as well. And when you're lesson planning, you're figuring out, all right, what's the basic line for this? And I've kind of applied that unknowingly to my martial arts training. I kind of realized that when I was teaching, that's exactly what I was doing. I'm breaking down the basic techniques, I'm showing the small movements and kind of building that up. So when you're doing that continuously, that is just refining your game more and more. You notice little things. You notice how people move a little bit more. So when you then have to apply it in live action or whatever it is, it comes to you a little bit more naturally, and it's almost more fundamental, if that makes sense. And then when you are, or at least when I'm like managing or watching classes or making sure that things are teaching right, whether it was karate or here, you are constantly seeing techniques. Whether you're drilling it or whether you're just watching. You see how people react, you see how people move, you're watching different wrestlers go, you're watching strikers go, you're watching how people flinch, you're watching the technique, you're watching how somebody's footwork can lead into something else. And all of those things you can either just kind of pass by and put it in the back of your brain, or you can start to apply that to your game. All right, if you do that, that moves here. So being constantly involved in the schools, I feel like just brings my game to another level, because you're, like I said, constantly involved. It's no out of time. Like, you're not showing up here for an hour doing class or doing camp and then leaving. I'm like constantly watching something.
So how do you balance being an instructor and a student? Because being an instructor, you have to be very selfless, giving all to your students. Being a fighter, martial arts, you have to be very selfish, taking all you have from your coaches and your classmates. How do you balance that?
It's very hard to balance. It's extremely hard. So I'm going in my senior year at the University of Massachusetts Lowell with an education major. So I'm going into a practicum, which is going to be Monday through Friday in a school, which is going to be massive. And then I come here afterwards for who knows how long. But I think finding whatever downtime that you have, let's say I'm not doing something in that moment to get that homework done or get that assignment done, to get something kind of going. You don't really have, any time that you're sitting down, I have to actively be doing something. It's actually, like, the dojo's closed this week for the 4th of July. I can't sit still. I need to keep moving. I need to find something to do, which is good and bad. So a lot of homework's getting done.
Nice.
A lot of training's getting done, so that's always excellent.
So let's say, like, after you're done with all your education, your practical, maybe your master's, whatever, where do you see yourself between martial arts and a career, I guess, in education? Do you think you're going to hold as significant of a role here at Defensive Edge?
I hope so. I kind of got into education because it would still allow me to teach martial arts and kind of manage school, martial arts school, and train, of course. So as long as I can still train and teach the martial arts, even if it's in a less managerial role, I'd be happy with that. But I don't plan on that. I plan on to just kind of keep on going. I mean, luckily for the most part, school gets done 2:30, 3:30, or around there, and then from 4 o'clock on, I can be here. So that's always great.
So we've joked around for you taking a fight for like the past 5 years. You've been trying to actively take a fight for the past 2 years, and you've had like 7 or like 9 like people dropping out or saying no. How frustrating is that?
It's part of the sport, but it obviously is frustrating. Like, the most frustrating one was this past November when the opponent fell out the day before weigh-in. So you know, you lose the weight and then you're ready to go and it doesn't work out. But it is what it is. You get your meal, you're happy after that. The more that people pull out, the more refined my skills are going to get. I think that getting in there and being able to compete is something that no skill can kind of develop though. So like if you want to get to that next level, you have to be able to get that competitive feel. So I'm looking forward to getting that. Yeah, so I hope it doesn't fall out, but it's what the sport is. You know, we've talked about doing this interview many, many times, but finally we're doing one.
So you've kind of been in like camp, like, so your opponent didn't confirm until very recently. You've been in camp for a long time, just not knowing if your opponent's going to say yes. A couple of days ago, finally got the call, fight's on. How was that reaction for you?
Well, it was actually you that called me because you drove to Coops, which is
Bear can't escape me.
It's Polar Bear's restaurant, correct?
He manages it.
He manages it. So you went there to find that out for me because we haven't heard from him and to watch UFC. So I'm very grateful that you did that for me. So thank you. But I was at Encore watching UFC 303 when you called me to let me know, and I was pumped. I was already been like fasting that day, and obviously when you're out with your friends at Encore and you want to have a drink, but I hadn't been because I was like, I don't know if this fight's locked in. So I started cutting the weight. And when you're cutting the weight but you're not sure if it's on, it's kind of like, it's worse than just normal because you're not sure if you're doing it for a reason or not. When you called me and told me that it was on, I was pretty hyped, and I was like, all right, good thing I didn't break. I was disciplined.
Not to psych you up, do you think possibly there's a curse with you that you'll never take a fight and like this opponent will pull out?
Who knows? But if they pull out, I'm gonna go get some cookies and some brownies and have a good night. I hope they don't, though, you know, but we'll see. If not, then I know that Combat Zone says that they have somebody for me in November for kickboxing. So as long as everything lines up, then at least we have something for them.
So how's that mentality changed? Like you're training, like maybe you're gonna fight at some point, but the goal's not really sure. To now you have a concrete, I'm gonna fight July 20th.
It's definitely motivating when you get in there for training. For me, I like having a goal, whether if it's a competitive goal, that's even better because then I have to work to be better than myself almost in a way, because when you're competing, I almost feel like if you just kind of go in there and into practice and you're just kind of going through the motions, that's obviously not going to be enough. You have to push yourself over and over, and I love that push, but having that goal gets you to push it a little bit further.
Speaking of which, like a couple of events, Defensive Edge sends 1, maybe 2 fighters, now you're sending 5. So how does it feel like being in the fight camp? Everyone around you is suffering the same way as you, that you all have the same goal of July 20th. How is that like feeling?
I honestly didn't think I would like it at first. I thought that it would be a little too much for me, but I kind of love it. It's a very team mentality and an individual sport, and I found this in the karate world that a lot of times they'll say team, but it's still very individual. And this feels very much more team than that does, which isn't something that I've really felt before. So that's super cool, and then having all those guys who are also pumped up motivates me, and we all push each other in camp, which is great. Josh has been running a great camp. Connor's been doing some great stuff with us. Dave's obviously been great with us too, so the team here at Defensive Edge is doing great stuff for us.
So visualize yourself July 20th, let's say half hour before the event starts. What do you expect the energy between your team to be?
I think it'll be probably pretty interesting. I know that we're talking, obviously it's like an hour and a half away from us, I think, so we're probably going to have to get like a couple hotel rooms or a house or something, so I think that we'll probably be hyping each other up. Before the fight, I'll probably lock in, get some headphones on, and just get in the zone.
So, you've competed before, at the scale. You've competed like karate tournaments, BJJ tournaments. This is a 2,200 person venue, Coliseum, everyone can see you. How do you plan on managing those emotions?
Every time I've competed, I don't want to say it's tunnel vision, but you lock in with whoever your opponent is. And I just kind of focus on that. I know I got my team behind me, listen to their voices, try to drown out everything else. I think being that this is my debut fight, I should be earlier on the card. Yep. So probably the hall will be a little less packed than 2,200, hopefully. Never know, though. This is a pretty big card. So, yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm super excited for the way that the hall is set up, because it's like the cage side,
love it,
the mezzanine, and then you got that upper balcony. So I think as you look around, you'll be able to see like everything, which is sick. but I don't think the crowd's going to get to me too much. I think I'm going to be focused on my opponent, and yeah, that's it.
So, of course, being your debut, you're probably going to be earlier in the card. Do you feel like a pressure to like set the tone for the rest of the card? If you are, let's say that you are the first card fight.
No, it's not like I'm the Cage Titans guy or anything like that. I'm just going in there to fight. So I'm going in there, focus on me, give on the best performance that I can give, and yeah, that's it. In terms of setting a tone, I'm not worried about setting a tone. I'm sure that place will be crazy. I think the crowd's going to set a tone more than us. Don't want it to be a sleeper, but hopefully it's going to be fun.
Of course, the Cage Titans crowd's never seen you fight. Win, lose, or draw, what message you want everyone to have in their head as you're walking out of that cage?
It was a good fight. I just hope that, I hope it's entertaining, and I hope that it's just fun. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it won't be, but in terms of what the crowd thinks, I hope they're just entertained.
And how far you want to go in your fight career?
As long as it will take me. If I, go 4 losses, 5 losses in a row, obviously that's not a good thing. 3, 4, that's not good. But if I keep going and keep winning, then see how long I can keep that up. Obviously, if I get 1, 2 losses in a row, keep trying and keep going. But it's not like I obviously got that education degree going, but I would love to obviously keep doing this.
So, let's say, since you already touched on your goals inside of the cage with martial arts, were some of your goals out of the cage you were with working at the gym, being an instructor, or with your education degree?
I think in terms of the gym, just keep going wherever it takes me. Opportunities come up left and right. Sometimes they don't. Take them when they come. I want to keep taking some fights, keep that going. I got a kickboxing one lined up for November, I think. So win, lose, or draw with this one. We got that in November, which I've got to look forward to and keep my training looking forward to. Education-wise, finish up my degree, get a job, start making some money so I can better support myself here too. So that would be pretty sweet, but defensive edge always takes care of me, and I love it here. So I plan on being here as much as possible, no matter what. Busy.
So last week we were talking about burnout in the parking lot, just like how do you prevent burnout being so involved in martial arts?
Burnout. Yeah, I mean, you kind of for me, I just keep on trucking, right? So I'm expected, or I work here Monday through Saturday. So whether I'm training or I have to be here for work, I have to be here. So if I'm here, I might as well train. If I have a goal behind my training, that makes it far easier. So whether it's a tournament coming up or a fight or something that I can be like, all right, we're working towards this, and then I keep pushing myself for that to try to almost unlock that next level and keep going. There's also a certain aspect that I think you need for recovery. So if once I leave here, I go home, sit in bed, watch Netflix for an hour or 2, fall asleep, and that's it. Wake back up, either go to school or come here again, right? So you need that time where you can kind of just sit, reanalyze your thoughts, put them in a stream, reflect on the day, and go from there. And if you get too burnt out, take a weekend. I think sometimes also that taking a little break from training can be massively beneficial. So whether it's taking a break, I don't think taking an entire break is beneficial, but I think taking let's say you're doing MMA, BJJ, and Muay Thai. That's a lot to train, right? So if you take off a week from BJJ and you focus on Muay Thai and MMA, I find when you go back to BJJ a week later, a couple days later, you're gonna go back to whatever those fundamental moves or what your favorite moves are, and that you've kind of remembered the best, incorporated in your game the best. So then those naturally then come out. So when you go back to, let's say you take a week off of Muay Thai, all right, you go back into Muay Thai, here's what your striking habits are, here's where you need to work. You kind of see each thing a little bit clearer from that little break.
So we're hitting some of your favorites. If you just want to give the favorite and move on, you can do that. If you want to give a little bit of story, you can do that as well.
Yeah.
Your favorite big league fighter?
I got a bunch of big league fighters that are my favorite. I don't know which one. I don't know if I can narrow it down, but
give a list then. Top 5.
Wonder Boy's great. He's a Kempo guy. I'm a Kempo guy. You're a Kempo guy. Gotta respect Wonder Boy for making it work in MMA. John Jones, his style, I mean, he's best in the world. Khabib's got amazing ground control. I think McGregor's mindset's amazing. Nate Diaz has just got a dog in him. So, I mean, I think no matter who you look at, you can find a little inspiration from.
On that, do you think Jones or McGregor ever going to fight again?
I hope so. I mean, they're animals, and they've created a life for themselves in which they don't have to, which I think for any fighter is probably the goal. But at the same point, obviously the fans want them to fight again. I want them to fight again. Everyone wants them to fight again. So hopefully.
Your favorite regional fighter? Avoiding your teammates and coaches if you have to, or if you can.
I don't watch too much regional stuff. I mean, Archer's out in Vegas right now, so is he considered regional?
When's the last time he was here?
A little while, probably Christmas.
He counts.
No, I don't really know. I'm looking forward to this card coming up for Cage Titans. I'm looking forward to seeing Giannetti and Barrett go at it. And who knows what's next for each one of them, too, because they're pretty far in their career. So I'm looking forward to seeing if that happens there.
Your favorite submission to hit?
I'm a karate guy. I don't got any submissions. My favorite submission is probably a wrist lock.
I'm a white belt. What's a wrist lock?
You want to know? So wrist locks are, I don't know. We always did them in karate for some reason, but like you grab my wrist here, and then you go like here, and you come here.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's stuff like that. So those are cool because they're quick, but if you tried that on anybody like with a fighter, you probably get punched in the face. So
You're gonna go for in your fight?
1,000%. I'm hoping I don't get disqualified for grabbing the gloves, but I think it's an extremely effective technique, and I believe everybody. No, I'm not going for that. But yeah, I think it's fun. I think if I have to go for a submission, that's what I'm going for.
I haven't think we've ever seen a wrist lock at Cage Titans, so you might be the first.
Never know. What's the guy's name I'm fighting?
I don't remember.
Aiden? Andrew? Last name starts with a G. Look out. I'm going to wrist lock you.
After your weigh-in, before your fight, what do you want to eat? So still a little bit healthy, but you have more calories now.
Pancakes. For whatever reason, whenever I've been craving pancakes and waffles through this camp, I think I will probably bring pancakes with me. That's what I did the last time I cut some weight for a jiu-jitsu tournament, and they were excellent. So I'm looking forward to some pancakes, maybe some eggs, and a lot of pasta that night.
On that note, July 4th is Thursday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Is it frustrating to not be able to eat at these July 4th barbecues?
Probably. I'm not a big party guy, so I'm not going to a bunch of parties and stuff. But around the family, that'll be a little difficult. You see grandma's dessert, obviously you want a little bit of it. But no, I'll eat my chicken and my salad, and I'll be good. And then on the night of July 20th or July 21st, I will have a lot of cookies and brownies.
Any last message you want to give? Any shout-outs or anything?
No, I want to thank the team here at Defensive Edge. Thank my coach and the owner, Josh Johnson, Dave Lyons, Connor Berry, my whole team, Eamon, Robbie, Elias, Mikey Titus, who I teach all the kids' classes here and who also runs the kids' program. He's phenomenal. George Demers, Fu. Yeah, everybody's been helping out. So super grateful to the whole team here at Defensive Edge.
All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Andrew.